Hey everybody, this is Mike Greenfield, and in this brief video I'm going to give a tutorial on how I came up with a lot of the rhythms for the song Snake Island, which is off the new Lotus album Free Swim. And when management approached me about doing this, I was actually really excited for a couple of reasons. The first is I've never done anything like this before, where I break down how I came up with all the parts for a song and how they were influenced, and I thought this could be useful information for some of the drum dorks out there. And the second is, for my main influence for almost every beat on this song came from a drummer named Tony Allen, who was the drummer for Fela Kuti. And Fela Kuti said without Tony Allen there would be no such thing as Afrobeat music. And Afrobeat music to me is one of the greatest styles of music that has ever been created. I just love everything about it. So this is a great experience for me to pay respect to him. And yeah, let's dig right into this. What I'd like to do is to walk you through the process of how I create my parts for any given Lotus song. Jesse and Luke spend a lot of time crafting the demos together, and afterwards they email it out to the band. And the songs will usually have a programmed scratch drum track to it. Every once in a while they'll tell me that the drums that they programmed are an integral part of the song and I should try to emulate it. But 95% of the time I can create whatever I want in order to bring the song to life. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you a short clip of the demo that Jesse sent me for Snake Island, just so you can hear what I was working with in the beginning. And that sounds like this. So right away I could hear that the song was influenced by Afrobeat music, had African influences, and I wanted to bring that out a little bit more. The track that he had programmed was 4 on the floor, and I wanted to make it a little more syncopated. So when I'm creating a drum track, what I like to do is really listen to the bass guitar line and try to pick out notes that stick out to me. And it's a delicate balance because I don't want to play every single note that the bass guitar is playing and have it be in unison, because it just doesn't breathe. It's a little too clunky. So with this line, the notes that caught my ear the most were the first 4/8 notes. Do, 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 do. And I'll play that for you with the drums taken out. So I wanted to create a beat that emphasized those notes. If this were a typical rock song, I'd probably even play the first 2/8 notes on the kick and maybe the second 2 on the snare, something like that. But being that it's an Afrobeat song, almost everything has to be switched around. The kick and the snare oftentimes are inverted, or at least that's how I hear it. And that's part of the brilliance of Tony Allen, where he would take standard funk beats and almost turn them up on their head. So with this song, I'm going to play the beat that I came up with and then show you how that would sound actually if it was inverted. So this is the beat that I came up with after listening to it for a few times. So if I play that same beat and flip it around, it almost sounds like a rock beat. So that's going to sound like this. Right, but just switched around, it's the Afrobeat rhythm that I came up with. And what I'd like to do now is to slow it down, just if there are other drummers out there trying to learn the beat or copy it. I want to give you a better chance to do that. So here it is at a slower tempo. And that's the main beat for the first 3 minutes of the song. When Mike starts to take a solo, I wanted to add a little intensity to the beat, but not change the underlying foundation of it. So I added a disco hat sort of feel to it, just to bring it up a notch. And that sounds like this. Okay, so the next section of the song starts around the 3-minute mark, and it's a little bit of a departure from the original melody. And I'm going to play that for you here just so you can hear it. So the beat that I wound up playing is actually a combination of two different rhythms. The first comes from Trinidad. It's called a soca, and that sounds like this. The second part of this beat is actually derived from an Afro-Cuban rhythm called cascara. And cascara means shell in Spanish, and it's usually played on the shell of a timbale. And here I'm going to be playing it on the ride cymbal. And cascara is normally a 2-measure pattern with the clave. On the beat that I use, I only actually take the first measure of it. But anyway, I'll show you the 2-measure pattern just for a reference. And I'm just using that first measure, like I said, and that sounds like this. And when I put both of those together, it sounds like this. And now I'll play it with the melody. So going back to that clave rhythm that I played before, I didn't even realize this till I started making this video, but that clave rhythm is really well observed throughout the entire song, so much so that I texted Jesse to ask him if it was intentional, and he said it wasn't, but he was kidding around and said that all kids should even learn clave before they can walk. And I just want to play that same pattern I was playing on my left foot there with the beginning of the song, so you can just hear how it is integrated throughout the whole song. Now, clave in Spanish, it means key. And what they're referring to is that it's the key rhythm that all of the other rhythms are based off of. So I'm just going to play that, and you could see how, even unintentionally, how all of the rhythms wind around this clave. So here we go. Okay, so the final rhythm that I play for this song occurs around the 3:30 mark for the keyboard solo. And here the bass changes a lot, and I spent a decent amount of time trying to think of something that was similar to the first beat that I was playing, but worked with this new bass line, and I kept going through different rhythms, and finally I landed on a rhythm that I played almost 20 years ago on an Ally song called Wooden Boat. And it just worked perfectly, and I guess I'm allowed to steal from myself. So I'm going to play the part first by itself, and then I'll play along with it. So. Cool, so that covers basically all of the rhythms that I've played on this song. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on any of my socials. You can also check out my website at www.mikegreenfield.net. And yeah, I hope you'd enjoyed it. Stay safe.